Canada and other key Ukraine allies held key talks in Paris today. The leaders discussed measures that could help determine the country's security after any potential peace agreement is reached with Russia. But prospects for progress on a U.S.-led peace deal are still uncertain as Moscow shows no sign of budging from its demands. Journalist Ross Cullen joins us now live from Paris. So Ross, what did the coalition of the willing leaders agree to?
Well, good evening, Andrew, from here at the Elysee Palace, which is where Prime Minister Mark Carney was a little bit earlier for joining in the Coalition of the Willing talks. And a declaration of intent was one of the key things that occurred about an hour ago. Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, and the host of today's talks, the French President Emmanuel Macron, signing a declaration of intent for Britain and France to deploy troops inside Ukraine after any peace deal is signed. So that was a step forward. We heard the US representatives, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, talking about a major milestone, saying that today was very important. A lot of progress has been made at recent talks in Geneva, in Berlin, in Florida in December, and now here in Paris as well, moving forward, particularly on security protocols. We can listen in now to the President of the United States, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who was speaking a little bit earlier to the news conference inside the Elysee Palace.
I will say I think today was a very, very big milestone, and I thank President Macron for assembling this and for all of the work that everyone here has done behind the scenes to bring this together. This does not mean that we will make peace, but peace would not be possible without the progress that was made here today, meaning that if Ukraine is going to make a final deal, they have to know that after a deal, they are secure, they have obviously a robust deterrence, and there's real backstops to make sure that this will not happen again.
Now, Andrew, here in the centre of Paris, pretty much the next building down from the Elysee Palace is the United States Embassy and the US representation, confirming that there will be continued talks just between Washington and Kiev's representatives, the Ukrainian president and Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner, this evening further down the road. So more work to be continued by both delegations to try to work towards, particularly those security protocols.
And Ross, what are Russia's demands to end its war on Ukraine, or at least agree to a ceasefire?
Russia's demands have never changed, Andrew. It wants Ukraine to sign up to a pledge never to join NATO. It wants the Ukrainian armed forces to be greatly diminished. It wants full international recognition of the 4 regions of eastern Ukraine that it occupies, that Russia sees as constituent parts of its territory. It says it could never accept troops from NATO countries being installed inside Ukraine, and it wants recognition as well, particularly at the US presidential level, of things such as the annexation of Crimea. These are maximalist demands, and President Putin has been, he's adhered to those demands throughout all of these meetings that he's had with the US negotiators and with the US president, indeed, last summer. We do see the possibility that there might be some concessions coming from Ukraine and potentially from the United States, and so what they will want to see is if there is any room for compromise. And Andrew, we can probably expect coming up in the next couple of months another meeting between President Putin and Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner.
Ross, thank you. That is journalist Ross Cullen live in Paris.